All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to our discussion of the first Republican debate. We got some people already here with us. Hello, Jose. Glad that you could make it and join us. Hey, Steel Waters and Nelly03. Glad that you are here. We are about to have a time. We have a lot to talk about, gentlemen. So we got the one and the only Too Raw, Too Real, as well as the one and the only Mentally Divine. Glad to see you both. Kenny, it seems as though you have on some adornments, some headwear
Look,
there.
I am wearing
It
red
looks
for
like
this
you
ghetto
are
ass debate.
dressing exactly like the fear that Tim Scott has for Black America.
Don't be talking about my do rag. I'm not about to go rob a 7-Eleven.
I'm just telling you, based upon Tim Scott's discussion tonight and his constant repetition of how he was able to overcome poverty, it looks as though you would be his greatest nightmare. America has a problem.
Look, he got plenty of problems in it with his polling numbers. He already understands that he's just auditioning for VP. I don't understand what his purpose is. I don't understand half the purpose of the panel that was literally on the debate tonight.
What do you mean? Okay? So I think that's a great place for us to just jump right in. I have some really good prepared clips. I went in, pulled some stuff on Twitter as well. And also, guys, for those of you who are watching, we definitely want you to shoot questions in the chat, and then we're going to go back and answer some of those, and it will help guide our discussion. But for both of you guys, what do you think is the purpose of tonight's debate? Did anybody tonight hit a home run? Question number one: did we have any home runs hit?
No,
Nikki Haley hit her home run, but you go ahead.
I don't think that anyone necessarily hit a home run. I do think though that some people got some base hits, and I think that Vivek Ramaswamy will definitely see a surge after this debate. I do think that Nikki Haley had a good night. I think she has some good punches in there. Chris Christie was reeling, and I did not expect Chris Christie to reel. Like, we all know Chris Christie's a debater, and we knew that he has the punches. We know that he was going to bring it to Trump, but Vivek really knocked his ass down. So I think it was a bad night for Christie. I think it was. I still don't even know who Doug Burgum is. And
Ryan, he's the governor of North Carolina.
I know who he is
I said, no,
functionally.
hell, he ain't.
I know who he is functionally. What I'm saying is, look. Here's what I'm saying. Essentially, nobody on this stage tonight is going to be the nominee for president for the Republican Party. Nobody. Everybody tonight was auditioning for the VP spot in case that Donald Trump becomes the nominee, which he will eventually become the nominee if he's not sentenced and he's not disqualified from running. Let's just be clear about that. So no, everybody was trying to be on the VP ticket, and I think Vivek really made some great headway in doing that tonight.
I think a lot of people are literally auditioning either to be VP or it might Pence's case because he kind of said the quiet part out loud. He said that Donald Trump is going to get convicted. So my whole thing is that means this motherfucker done sang like a canary, y'all. That means what we believe might be true. We might get our first president. I mean, Donald Trump has been the first to do a lot of things. 2 times indicted. No. 2 times impeached. And then how many indictment case? 4?
Yeah, there is 4 formal indictments that will be made on tomorrow. It'll make 4. What I want to say is that 96 charges once everything is levied on tomorrow. So yeah, I think so. You think that? So okay, Kenny, that's a pretty bold statement. I'm not saying I disagree. I think that you bring up a really good point that Pence's conviction in this debate seems to indicate that Donald Trump is definitely going to possibly go down. If that's stated, which of these individuals would have the best chance of being the Republican nominee?
So in this case right now, I think that's what they're trying to prosecute the case, but I don't see anybody prosecuting that case in this moment. As far as winners go, I mean, Vic is trying to be chosen as VP, but he understands that they jumped his ass on the debate stage. They were treating him like a true model minority. I hope he understands his place in all of this. But as far as the winners go, I mean, Nikki Haley had a lot of good shots out there, but unfortunately, based off of the way that she was speaking, she pretty much gave Biden all the ammunition he needs when it comes to the 2024 election season. We have so many sound bites thanks to Nikki Haley pretty much exposing the Republican Party, saying, hey, did you know that the debt and the adding to the deficit, $8 trillion thanks to Donald Trump? So I'm loving the fact that all the things that's happening right now, we can actually use this in the upcoming election in our best interest as Democrats. But as far as prosecuting the case, this isn't going to move the needle. Nobody's going to move in the polls. It's going to be strict 40% for Donald Trump. Nobody's moving up. Nobody's moving down. I don't see this debate actually making any type of leeway for any of these candidates.
Well, the interesting part about that is that you're right. Nikki Haley actually seemed to be the moderate in the room. Like she came out the gate swinging against Republicans and Democrats. If you remember in the debate, she actually at one point says, you know, we have to put this where we are right now is not just on the Democrats, it's also on the Republicans. I wasn't expecting her to say that. I wasn't expecting any candidate to say that, to be honest with you. You know, I really do think that from a perspective of just analyzing the chronology and the logistics of the debate, some of these, it was awkward. I mean, you started off with this ginger who was singing this song about rich men in the North, or what was it? The rich men north of, I don't know, Richmond, north of
That
Richmond.
was like a dog song. We've heard of dog whistles. I think that was like some kind of dog song that we wouldn't understand.
I had no clue what the fuck they was talking about. You know, you had Brett Baer turning around like the white soccer mom in the van trying to get the audience together because, you know, they weren't cooperating and they were booing the fuck out of Chris Christie. I mean, you know, Chris Christie was substantive. He was pressed though. I think in the very beginning, Ron DeSantis was given softball questions. I think everybody else was being pressed by the moderators. At one point, the moderators felt like they were no longer even fucking there, which was interesting. You know, he was pressed on his track record in New Jersey, and he said, well, I won 61% of the majority, and I was a conservative Republican in a blue state. And I think that's good if you hadn't run already, because you ran on that shit before and you lost. Okay, so let's talk about that. Senator Tim Scott pushed back on the trillions of dollars that he added on the deficit. You know, they were like, you were there for 10 years, you didn't do anything different. And he's like, well, you know, I championed, you know, the writing and co-authoring the bill for the tax cuts, and they weren't buying it. You know, again, so a lot of this shit was kind of weird tonight. Like there was really no wins for some of these candidates. And I'm just like, why are you up there? Chris Christie has no chance. Chris Christie has no chance in hell. I think he's really doing it in terms of being vengeful and airing his grievances against Donald Trump and just kind of being anti-Trump. And I think it's funny that Vivek really kind of cleared his ass there too. He was like, you know, you'd be more credible if you weren't also running your fucking campaign on grievance and vengeance as you're critiquing Trump to do, right? I don't know. Again, this was a VP audition tape, and they know that Trump was running. But here's the point that I want to make too. Let's not forget that tomorrow Trump is about to be booked in Fulton County, and there's going to be a mugshot coming out of Trump. So anything that was talked about tonight is going to be radically eclipsed by the media coverage that Donald Trump is about to get tomorrow, being booked and having a mugshot. Let's just also be clear about that. No one's going to be talking about this shit tomorrow. We talking about it tonight because we, you know, it's important, but nobody's going to be talking about this shit tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that's the unfortunate part of this, is that Donald Trump's indictment in Georgia is going to eclipse all of this. But there was nothing said that really mattered or that was substantive anyway. Like there wasn't any, again, I think we had it in here, multiple people said, you know, there was no home run moment. And I don't think that there were, but there were some really good talking points. One thing that really stood out to me that I really enjoyed seeing was Mike Pence definitively take a stance on the side of the United States Constitution. I think that was really good. I think that he deserved the opportunity to say that. So that the American people can know who this man is and what he did. And I think that, you know, America owes him a debt of gratitude. The only thing that perhaps he's done that I think is right in his whole entire existence on the planet Earth. But again, I thought that was a high point. I think that Vivek came across as a shit show. I think that he was a disaster. I think that he was a really poor representation of younger Americans. And he absolutely he was a fish out of water. And there are younger people who can do great work, who can do great things. And because Vivek has no actual moral compass or grounding in himself as a candidate, I think that came on display tonight. And again, Asa Hutchins knows he doesn't have a chance. Scooter Braun, or whatever his name is, North Dakota, knows that he also doesn't have a chance. And I'm just baffled that they're taking up space. Nikki Haley had some great talking points. And I think that to me, Nikki Haley emerged as the winner of tonight's debate. Right there with her was Christie, and then also DeSantis. And I say DeSantis because Ron DeSantis had the most to lose tonight as the second place, the runner-up to Donald Trump. And I don't think he lost any ground. And I think if you are the front runner, even though he's not, in this, who was in the room, and you don't stumble and you don't have a massive gap and you don't fall back, you have emerged on top. I don't think anyone who's running and supporting Ron DeSantis is going to walk away from tonight's debate not supporting Ron DeSantis. I think there are some undecided Republicans out there that may be looking a little bit closer at Nikki Haley, those handful of moderates. And I think she maybe will be able to pull those in. I don't think Chris Christie can pull moderates. Not because he's not a moderate, just because people don't like Chris Christie. And I don't think that anyone else on that stage could pull those moderates either. So I think Nikki will emerge as a winner with DeSantis right behind her. And again, this was an opportunity for Vivek to shine. But when you don't really know who you are as a candidate and you don't really know what you believe in, you can't shine.
Absolutely. And shout out Chris Mowry, who we talk about all the time and makes all these great videos and represents Gen Z. I mean, he was attacking the fuck out of Vivek on Twitter, and talking about how Gen Z, like, I think one of the biggest things is him being against climate change. I mean, he talked about climate change being a hoax. He literally said that. He also talked about coal and fossil fueling and fracking, right, which is not popular with Gen Z at all. So yeah, I think you're right. I think what I was giving Vivek credit for publicly on social media, and I will give credit for it now, is that he is a great speaker. He is a great speaker, but that does not a great candidate make. And I think that we saw that tonight. I mean, we saw, you look at the independents and you look at those different data points. And when he was talking about specific things, literally he lost women, he lost independents, and that's what you need. I think he gave enough meat for his base, or enough red meat for his base for the Republicans. I don't think that he had enough for independents. But again, I don't think that he was taking this seriously to win for president or the nominee. I think he was trying to get in there with Donald Trump. And someone tried to check me on social media saying, well, no, he's too sassy. He has too much personality to be working with Trump. But here's my thing. Trump is going to see himself in that robust personality and say, I want that on my team, right? Like, he's not going to look at Mike Pence. Although I will say Mike Pence, though, did come out swinging tonight. He had some great sound bites. He had some good clips. You had Vivek saying, no, I don't understand. And he was like, well, I'll go slower this time. Right. That was a side swipe. You have Mike Pence, or you have Governor Christie saying, Vivek, you sound like ChatGPT. Right. Like, there was a lot of hits coming that way. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, again, Mike Pence had a good night tonight. I don't know, what did y'all think about Mike Pence? Because he was low energy as fuck last time, but this time around he can shoo the fly away.
Morally standing, I think he did a good job as far as the morals and sticking with the Constitution. But as far as on the Republican side, he didn't move the needle for himself. They don't like him. Did you forget that they wanted to hang him at the Capitol?
I know. So
no. As far as Vivek goes, he's got his head so far up Trump's ass trying to be this VP. And it's the fear fact that he literally came out of his mouth and said Donald Trump was the best president in U.S. history. So anybody arguing with you saying that, no, he is running to actually become, no, he's not.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this. What did y'all think about the moment where they said, raise your hand if Donald Trump is convicted of this, if he's convicted, will you still support him for the nominee, if he's the nominee? And Ron DeSantis looked around before he raised his hand. He saw Vivek raise his hand. He saw one other person on that side raise his hand, and then he raised his hand, and then a couple of other people. The only two people who did not raise their hand was Chris Christie and Asa Hutchinson. What did y'all think about that moment? Because clearly that shit was humiliating. To me, that was humiliating.
Well, nobody knows where they want to stand. What they're doing is they're trying to see where voters are. They're trying to see how much control does Donald Trump really have over the Republican Party. And obviously, even with him literally not four times indicted, even though he's not president anymore, he lost the election. He has no political authority. He can't do anything. It shows they want to see exactly where the rest of the Republican Party is. So they're not sure. They're not sure of anything. So right now, they're just trying to just go with the wind. They are literally grifting to try to figure out what they can do, what opportunity they can take in order to somehow gain a little bit more political power. As far as Vivek goes, he's blatantly said that he would pardon the president, ex-president. Zach?
Yeah, I was about to say Zach.
I'm looking at the comments, and so happy to see so many friends here. Micah, a phenomenal journalist, has joined. So glad that you're here, Candy. I love you. Glad that you're making, of course, Kevin, again, another phenomenal journalist with Bi Latin Men, not B-I, but B-Y. And again, some great work. So if you don't follow Micah, you don't follow Kevin, you need to do so because they have some great content out there. I think we have some viewers here who don't follow this channel. Follow the channel. I am busting my ass and spending a whole lot of damn money trying to invest in this channel with good content so I can get to the 1,000 followers and finally get monetized one day. So with all that being said, guys, I think you bring up some really good points. I agree. I don't think Vivek is auditioning to be vice president. I don't think that Vivek would be a good fit for Donald Trump. And I don't think Donald Trump would even like him because he is a little bit too sassy, I think, as Kevin said. And I don't think he's going for that. I do think that he's going for like a career as a conservative commentator. And he's all about the money. And he's all about the money. And he's trying to build up his brand. And that's
the right Andrew Yang.
Right. Yeah, he is exactly. He is the Republican Andrew Yang 100% all day, every day. That's who he is. That's what he I think brings to the table. So I don't think that he's someone that we need to really. I don't think he's a serious contender. I don't know if there's any. What's disappointing to me is that the Republicans don't have a serious contender to replace Donald Trump. If Donald Trump is not able to run, I mean, who do they have? And what will that mean in 2024? Like, what will that mean?
I honestly, I think if Donald Trump is out of the running, I think his share of what he's getting, the 62% of what, or I think that's his number right now, it's his 62%. I think that share will then be evenly distributed amongst the other remaining candidates. I think those numbers obviously raise up because, I mean, tonight was clearly a stage of losers. I mean, you think about it, you have everybody, the people who were in the middle. Ron DeSantis was in the middle. That's how people are arranged on stage. He had 10, what he has 10, he's polling at 10%. So you have these people who are polling at 10%. And if Trump was on there, he told Jeb Bush's ass that he was moving off the stage. He'll be gone later. So there was a stage of losers tonight. Again, no one really cared about these people. You have Trump is the front runner, but they'd move it. I think the front runner then at that point would be Ron DeSantis. I also do think though that is a mistake. I think it's a mistake. Again, I think Ron DeSantis is great for the base, but Ron DeSantis is not good for a national election. And I think if Republicans are truly as conniving and smart and machinacious as we think that they are, and we say that they are, and that they think that they are, they wouldn't do that. But I think that they would. That's my prediction. I think
a lot came out from this audience. I was thinking through a lot. I realized hands down, there was no one on that stage who was going to impress me. And there was no one on that stage who was going to say anything I would probably agree with. And that didn't happen. But I did, take note of how the audience was responding to questions. And then I'm trying to reconcile it. What I mean is this. There were things that I thought the audience would boo that they didn't necessarily boo. There were moments of applause around accountability for Donald Trump, moments of applause around the Constitution being upheld, moments of applause around democracy. There was some booing of some things. But for the most part, a lot of the people in that audience seemed to be open to the idea of someone being president that's a Republican besides Donald Trump. But then I had to think to myself, this is Wisconsin. It's a battleground state. And those Republicans there are more moderate than the Republicans that you would have in Georgia, than what you have in Mississippi, than what you have in Texas, and what you have in Florida. So I don't know if this was a good sign that the Republican Party is slowly waking up from the brainwashing of Trumpism, or if this was just a bad sample.
I have no hope for them. I mean, when Chris Christie talked about accountability at first, they just booed him. So I don't necessarily know about that. As far as the crowd and what the sample, I honestly feel that Trump is still going to be the nominee regardless. I feel like with the Republicans, they're lost. This grand old party is gone. There is no hope for trying. It's literally partisanship at this point.
I mean, okay, so wait, Kenny, you're saying that you have no hope in terms of if Trump is not the front runner and something happens where he can no longer run for president. What you're saying is that there is no hope for any of these candidates to win. That's what you're saying.
There is no hope for these candidates to win. They're so entrenched with Trump. Trump literally has the Republican Party in a chokehold. It is a cult.
I mean,
it just is what it is.
I agree with you. I mean, I think between Ron DeSantis making up stories about a woman named Tracy in Texas or a woman named Donna
Penny,
right? Penny or Nickel or whatever her fucking name was. You have Mike Pence, who again they don't really like him because they say that they're for the Constitution, but they're not really for the Constitution. And he upheld the Constitution, and they don't like that. No one is popular up there. And no one really has winning policies. You know what I'm saying? The Republicans have one playbook, and it's do and claim that the other side is doing what you do, right? Like they are people who run based on fear. They run based on racism. They run based on dog whistles and getting red meat for the base. And then they say that that's what Democrats do, that they run on fear, that they have no policy, that they're bringing up money in the deficit and spend I mean, you have DeSantis saying that he's going to abolish the Department of Education. These are not serious positions. Like, let's be real. These are not serious positions. These are not things that can actually be accomplished. These are not things that the same smoke that we have for Bernie Sanders when we say that he can't actually accomplish things because you have to be in a place where you can work across the aisle and you can actually get things done and do compromise and understand that negotiation. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that. Not with any of their policies. Again, this was just red meat for the base tonight. I don't see.
I mean, Nikki Haley argued that case. She pretty much laid it out plain and simple, trying to reach out to moderates on the Democratic side, saying, hey, we shouldn't have a federal abortion ban. She tried her best to try to reach out to, I guess, Democrats that are on the field that tired of Biden and tired of Republicans. She was trying to play that off.
But let me say my hot take about Nikki Haley. This is my hot take. I don't think any Republican is ready to
vote for a woman.
For a woman.
And a woman of color at that.
A woman of color, person of color. Tim Scott is a political fucking pawn. Okay? The way that Fox News treats black people is fucking ridiculous. They had Colonel West on earlier because I was fucking watching. I put on Fox News earlier to be ready for the debate. They had Colonel West on Fox News, and you had his fucking coon ass up there talking about some sister, calling Laura Ingraham sister. First of all, Laura Ingraham of all motherfucking people. But then second of all, being asked specific questions. They asked him, they don't want him to be a fucking candidate. Talking about do you know that if you actually run, the Democrats can lose? How do you feel about that?
He loves it.
Oh, of course he loves that. But that's what they're trying to put on. They want to split the fucking party. And people who are within the sound of my voice, if y'all can understand this, because we talk about this all the time, every fucking election cycle, voting for third party is the stupidest thing you can fucking do. Yes, you have the right to do it because your voice is your vote and your vote is your voice and you can vote for whoever the fuck you want to do. But at the end of the day, if your mentality is progress and you want to call yourself a progressive, voting for a third party gets you nowhere near the progress that you're actually claiming that you want to achieve. Let's put that out there. Let's put that out there. For the people who don't know,
or too
We got the
slow.
good time that's going about Tim. We are going to do a discussion right now about Tim Scott because it is important, I think, to talk about Tim Scott. Tim Scott was probably the biggest loser of tonight's debate, in my opinion. Tim Scott wins this debate with a lot of momentum in Iowa. He's been constantly climbing up the Iowa polls. And again, as Slater says right here, he was damn near invisible. And again, his closing statement is exactly as what Kevin said, is that it was pretty much, my mother, single mom, worked a lot of hours to help me overcome poverty. I made it. And if you're born a man, stay a man. Like that was this man's closing argument. He brought no substance to any answer that he gave. To me, he was the biggest disappointment of all the candidates on that stage, even more disappointing than Scooter Braun.
I mean, Tim
Who's
Scott.
Braun?
The governor of North Dakota, but his name is like
talking about Doug. No, his name is Doug Burgum.
You can call him Doug, but I know another Doug. I prefer to call him Scooter Braun.
Okay. Child, he looked like George Washington without the white wig, honestly. But he really do look like oatmeal, like about oatmeal and shit like that. But anyways, as far as Tim Scott goes, look, his ass pulled up with no plan. He was long-winded. He really kept running over time. I'm like, goddamn, could you get to the damn point? I mean, it was just a drag. He was boring. He wasn't charismatic. I kept looking at all the gaps in his teeth. There was just so many distractions going on all at once. I'm like, oh God, get him off the stage. He had no neck. I said, there was so much going on with Tim Scott, but we all know that he's not going to be anything. He is just there just to check a box and say, hey, we have minorities on our side too. We have black people. Black Republicans exist. Yeah. Child, that's his.
Junius brings up a really good question about you think they're going to support an unmarried black man. They're not going to support a black man. Okay, that's not.
They ain't going to support a black man, period.
Having Tim Scott on the stage makes everyone feel better. It makes everyone say, see, I'm not racist because look, Tim Scott is right here on the stage. And not only is he black, he's in poverty. Wow, we love Tim Scott. But I do think it's very odd, our unmarried leaders from South Carolina. And that's all I'm going to say. I just think it's something odd going on in the Palmetto State. Something odd is going on in the Palmetto State. And Zedric, I'm glad that you're here. You look lovely in your little profile picture, a cute little koala. A lot of people had the ability to sync Ron, but for some reason they didn't. I also kind of think to a certain extent that they were content to let Ron be robotic and just read off the cards in his head and just say what he was saying, because that's exactly how he sounded every time he opened his mouth. I'm baffled that this man is making as much headway as he is, because we all can tell there is something amiss.
I mean, he's slipping in the polls thanks to, our VP Battle Vice President, as she went to Florida and dogged his ass out about that whole slavery thing when it comes to their curricula. But as far as Ron DeSantis goes, what I noticed is, honestly, I don't know why y'all are giving him so much. He disappeared to me. I was not paying attention to Ron DeSantis. For the most part, like you said, he did sound very robotic, but I think the thing that helped Ron DeSantis the most is the mere fact that there were so many people on this debate stage. He really didn't have that many talking points. He really didn't have that chance. But one thing that really frustrated me most, and I want to get into, hopefully we can get into the fact checking of all the lies that they told.
Yeah.
But the thing that frustrated me most is when they were talking about the homeless crisis, why the hell did they pivot right into funding the police? How the hell is more police officers on the street supposed to deal with homeless? How does that fix the homeless crisis? They don't talk about any investment. They don't talk about any reentry programs. They don't talk about anything. There's no policy. They just go into, let's fund the police. Oh, police. And this is where Vivek pissed me the fuck off. He pretty much said, let's give police the ability to not have to look over their shoulder and be concerned about being prosecuted, pretty much giving them the right to kill and harass and racially profile African Americans and people in minorities. That pissed me the hell off. They're saying, oh, let's just continue to pour more and more money into cops, and you should feel some type of way, Mr. Zach, with Cop City all up in Atlanta.
But here's the thing, Kenny. I actually didn't let anything, there was nothing they said that affected me at all, because I walked into this knowing that there's no, these are Republicans. It's a Republican debate. There's no issue they're going to bring to the table that I am going to ideologically agree with. So I was looking at this from a very probably different standpoint, because if they would say stuff, I would roll my eyes and I would exhale it out, because it's just pointless, and because that's their platform, it's what they believe in. But when you said that, you brought up something that was mentioned in the comments earlier, and I'm so sorry, guys, I didn't explore this. When Ron DeSantis said he was going to kill migrants stone dead. And this is something that is completely being said over and over by Ron DeSantis. I am going to treat migrants to America as though they are terrorists invading our country, and I am going to kill them stone dead.
I missed that part. Goddamn.
It's almost an exact quote this man said tonight about killing people who are in the country illegally, as he said, stone dead.
That's half his damn people in Florida. Is that why he's sending them to VV's house?
Well, let me say this, because I want to talk about this. You talk about immigrants, you talk about migrants, you talk about people crossing the border. Why they put a picture of these fucking people crossing the border? One of them got a fucking fake mustache on, looking like Pancho Villa. You know what I'm saying? With the fucking rifles. I didn't understand that moment. Okay, why was that necessary to be added on TV? You could talk about, that there's a potential crisis, which there isn't, but you can talk about that without having these pictures of these people who clearly looked like it was some fake shit. Okay, I think the other thing that we got to talk about is the moderators kind of surprised me in ways, and then in other ways I was like, that's fucking right up the alley of Fox News. The moderators did press people. So for instance, you had Ron DeSantis, where the moderators said, talking about crime, and he said, well, we have a 50-year low in Florida, and Mike and Brett Baer said, not in Miami, right? And so it was like you had those little moments where the moderators were trying to fight back. So that really did. But I want to go back to your point, Kenny, because I think you're absolutely right. I didn't understand how they pivoted at all to defunding the police. Literally, they were talking about homelessness. The question was about unhoused populations, and Mike Pence said, well, I think we need to talk about defunding the police and how the Democrat. I was like, what? I had to go back in my notes and I shifted it. I was like, maybe I misheard, and maybe they were talking about crime and not homeless populations. But no, it was literally that they were talking about that. So all of it was, again, pivoting. There was nothing that had anything to do with any specific policy. But yeah, no, that was a losing argument. The migrants and the immigrants, crossing the border is also a losing thing. They try to bring that up too about Pence's record, right? They talked about Trump and Pence, and they were like, well, there's a lot of talk on social media, or a lot of talk about how y'all really didn't finish the border, right? And so they kind of pushed back on him with that. That was a little bit interesting. I didn't think they would air that. I honestly thought that they would give him more credit. I'll be honest with you. I thought they would give him more. I thought they would give Mike Pence more credit because he was vice president. I didn't, and he's not even. Oh, and by the way, I understood completely why Mike.
What did Mike Pence do to get credit? See, this is the thing.
I know.
Right. So one thing that has pissed me off throughout the whole entire tenure of Vice President Kamala Harris's term as vice president is that she has been working more than any vice president I've ever seen in the course of my life on earth, right? Like, I don't know one thing that Al Gore did other than create the internet. Okay. Like, he was a climate change guy, but he was there because he was young, from the South, and attractive to the type of voter they wanted. I don't know what this man achieved, and it continues all the way through. President Biden was a visible vice president. He was a good cop when President Obama had to be a bad cop, but I also can't say he achieved a whole lot in the forefront. Vice President Harris has done the most of any vice president. So what can we say that Pence even contributed to at his time as vice president? And during this tenure, he never received any pressure, any heat, any questions, and he still isn't being questioned about his time of service. He was a mediocre governor who ran on a pro-life, anti-gay platform, and that's what carried him over. Hate propelled this man forward. A hate of women having the right to choose, and the hate of gay people in this country having any existence whatsoever, because they didn't make the choice that he and Tim Scott have chosen to make.
He has achieved a lot. He is responsible for nearly 500,000 people dying during COVID. He was in charge of those efforts, the same as when he was in Indiana dealing with the HIV and AIDS crisis. He's horrible when it comes to pandemics and crisis. So let's give him his flowers. This is what he did.
But you know what,
Congratulations, bitch.
Ron DeSantis. See, my thing is, why are they letting Ron DeSantis get away with murder? Literally getting away with murder. He was up there literally saying, "I didn't close down Florida, and I will do the same if something else like that happens." By the way, for people who don't know, COVID is again on the rise. And so that's also being reported. And so who knows what would happen, right? Maybe we have enough infrastructure to take care of what we need to do, and particularly in the federal level. You know, you had Biden, was in the Obama administration when the literal manuals were created to tackle these specific types of crises. And so I think that he has the know-how to do it. But you have over here Ron DeSantis saying he would fire Fauci. I mean, there's still, again, Ron DeSantis was taking a lot of Trump's playbook. Literally said that you're fired, just like that, just like fucking Trump would do on the Celebrity Apprentice, right? There was a lot of those moments where I'm just like, who are you as a candidate, and how are you sticking out from Trump? I think one of the things that we know, and what we always say, is that Ron is actually more dangerous than Trump in a lot of ways. Ron is more dangerous because he has what Trump doesn't have, because Trump doesn't have any couth and any way to actually say things in a political, strategic way. But Ron can, But again, I think that he came off too fucking rehearsed. He came off too rehearsed.
He was robotic.
It wasn't rehearsed. It was staged.
Yeah.
He had his little talking points memorized, and he couldn't carry on without it. I hope we never see Donald Trump on any primary debate stage again. I don't want him to have a platform. I don't want him to be given the opportunity to get in front of the American people and spew his lies and be as convincing to his base as he is. But there's no way Ron DeSantis could have withstood a Donald Trump lashing the way that Donald Trump debates. There's no way that I think that he would have had a malfunction and flipped his podium over, because he was literally using his behavioral mechanisms and behavioral cues taught to him by whoever teaches him how to control myself. Smile now. That's what I saw in his approach. And that's what's going to happen. I do want to talk about, because really, we have spent a good 30 minutes rehashing the debate and probably no value in it. But I do think there's a lot of value in the three of us and the people who are watching talking about, what do the Democrats do now? What is the work of Democrats after tonight's debate?
All right. So what I'm already saying is Joe Biden is already using all their talking points in ads. That's number one. But also, it needs to be fact checking. That's why I'm probably going to go ahead and do a few fact checkings as far as Bidenomics and inflation. We already know that inflation is globally, and U.S. is literally one of the lowest in the G7 nations. So that's number one. They talked about unemployment under Donald Trump. Unemployment is at its lowest, particularly for Black people. Under Joe Biden, it is literally sitting at, as of this moment right now, it is sitting at 5.4%. No, 5.3%. So we have to basically go from talking point to talking point to talking point. As far as Nikki Haley is concerned, I'm so glad that she was on the debate stage, because we can use her words again.
That was a big statement, and I think everybody here agrees. Now, when you go, because they kept talking about, so Fox News sat here and framed the whole concept of the American economy and Bidenomics as a failure by design, emphasizing that, well, the people here say like they can't afford to buy a bucket of milk. Like we're in Wisconsin and we can't afford to buy a bucket of milk. And so that's what we're seeing. And the American people thoroughly believe in their whole hearts that the American economy is struggling, that inflation is out of control, because they live in a news vacuum where they're not finding out and hearing that England is in a historic recession, Germany's in a historic recession, New Zealand is in a historic recession, and America isn't, because of the policies of the Biden administration. And the reality is Americans are traveling more, Americans are buying more, but they're broke according to what they think. How do you fix that? How can President Biden fix that?
Honestly, some people just stuck on damn stupid. I don't know how you can fix that. Do you have an answer? Because I can't answer that.
I will say
I got some, but Brian, you say yours first, and then I'm gonna hammer home because I'm always ready to bitch about the fucking things that Democrats don't do that they should be doing.
I know, and Zach's points are always great, right? Because Zach is going to talk about Gen Z and how we need to be mobilizing and galvanizing Gen Z, right? He's going to talk about that, and I think that he should. So I'm going to let him talk about that. I think here's my answer is that I don't think that Biden himself can fix it alone. I think that there needs to be a culture shift, and I think that that's happening little by little. I think that with Fox making the specific decisions to not cover the indictments, I was just reading up that MSNBC is now winning in the ratings wars. And so you're seeing more people move from Fox and actually watching MSNBC, which I think is helping with the concept of people being in their bubble, right? People are just watching Fox News because that's all they want to watch. And it's an echo chamber. To depart from that and watch a different news outlet that obviously is going to give you the other side, literally the other side, is going to give you exposure to new concepts and new ideas, and they're going to give you the indictments, but they're also going to give you the fact that we have the lowest unemployment rates, right? That we have specific metrics that we can point to that show something opposite, right? So I think that that's happening little by little. And just the fact that their fucking lineup is terrible. I mean, I'm talking about Fox News, right? Like Jesse Waters is not getting the ratings that Rachel Maddow is getting. It is what it is. Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity may still be eating, but they have maybe hundreds of thousands of less views as they don't, and they make these specific decisions. So I think that that's part of it. But again, I do think that Zach's point is actually going to be correct, is that we need to be doing a better job at our messaging. We need to be talking about how we galvanize more Gen Z voters. Motherfucker, look, Republicans pay their people to go on, all these fucking pages and TikTok and Instagram and Twitter and whatever to talk all this shit and put out disinformation. Democrats need to start getting a little crafty and start, doing the damn same and having people combat and have, some what is it called? Digital rapid response teams that come out and talk about and combat the disinformation.
And I love me some Bus and Boots, but that's one bus I wouldn't touch with Mentally Divine's nose. Okay, I know under no circumstance. Okay, and I know that there's one person on this chat right now who loves some feet, and I'm gonna let him pull them boots off because I don't want to see what's inside of them. Okay, under no circumstance. Now, Brian, you're right. I'll say it all day. This is where, and you brought up a phenomenal point. It is not the president's job to do his own messaging. It is his job to do his job as president, to execute these laws and to make life better for the American people. And that is what Joe Biden is doing. There are hundreds of people paid across the United States of America with donated money from people like us to do the job of messaging and to get the word out. And they are failing every single day. If nothing fucking else, there should be daily briefs given to combat misinformation that they email out or send out or fucking post on Twitter for people like us to get, so that we can then take that and then craft highly effective messages. I should not have to spend as much time as I spend trying to fact check the lies of Republicans on behalf of Democrats so that our country can move forward. I should have to do that because these people are paid to do it. We are doing a slave labor yeoman's work, not just the three of us, but everybody on this, all of you. I know you do what we do. You're fighting the good fight like we're fighting the good fight, and we're doing it because we care about our country. We're doing it because we care about the truth. But the reality is there is money and there is funding out there that Democrats are not using effectively to do this work, and that is a part of the problem. Young people and Gen Z need to be invested in heavily. And I'm not talking about paying me. I would love more money, but I don't need more money. I would love more money, but I don't need more money. But there are young people in this country who need those funds. They need those resources, and it would invest in not only in the creator economy, it would invest in the Gen Z economy, but it would also invest in this nation's future, because we need our young people to be informed. We need them to be educated. We need them to know how to research and how to evaluate and combat bias. That's what we need, okay? And that is where I think, unfortunately, the Democratic Party is faltering. That's what I think. Kenny?
Let me add something. They do actually have brief. Well, I'm part of the briefings, Chad. I got all of them. So I do get the information. They email me like a little late, but I'm already done made the video already and send it to them. Like I already covered this shit. But they are a little late to the game when it comes to it. As far as paying people, no, they're most likely not going to pay anybody until a little closer towards the election time, based off of the information that I've been given. They actually are going to be investing in a lot of content creators. So we will possibly have an opportunity in order to be compensated for the work that we're already doing. However, they're probably going to be investing towards the closer towards the election when people are actually paying attention. Right now, nobody really gives a fuck. But however, there should have already been a digital rapid response, like to Brian's, point, when it comes to battling misinformation, because there's already misinformation already put out there. And people's first impression is the first thing they go with. What the first people believe, the first thing that they see. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. When it comes to the shade room, the lies on, the whole Maui, Hawaii situation, Biden giving out crack pipes. I don't know how many damn lies the shade room gave, but us airing out our grievances and us basically, talking out loud and expressing our frustration with the administration's response when it comes to misinformation, it does work. And I can guarantee you personally that Hollywood Unlocked and Shade Room will never be back at the White House.
Well, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. They shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like
they shouldn't have
been there. Anthony should have been there. Kevin should have been there with BY, not BI, Latin men. Michael should have been there as a young influencer of value and growth. That they should have been there. That was a misstep. That was a misinvestment, and and it's okay to make mistakes. So I'm not trying to hammer it home. I'm just kidding, and I hear what you're saying when you're saying they're going to pay, they're gonna get it together. We don't have days to lose. Let me tell you what it's looking like right now, because I am seeing Black content creators on TikTok spew and spout misinformation at a rapid rate. People who have never talked about politics, who've never gotten into politics, who don't have a clue about politics, are now using Republican talking points to persuade young Black people because we are the targets. And it infuriates me. It makes me so angry. They are choosing to target my community. They are going after Black people and to shave off the vote. And then there's a group of Black people on social media who will say, it's okay, these aren't informed voters. You don't need many Black voters to effectively deflate the Democratic Party's chances of winning in an election. You don't need many. When you look at how Republicans are strategized, when you look at how they are doing voter suppression efforts, when you look at the little things they're doing legally in their states through laws, and then you look at this huge push in social media around a certain kind of influencer, and not just social media, you have big money being put out there. You have big people like, Ice Cube, Uncle Luke, Akbar V. You have Stephen A. Smith, the most known Black male voice in journalism, because there's so many Black men who will never watch an episode of anybody's news who look at Stephen A. Smith every single day. They know what they're doing. And the Democrats are doing what to combat this? We're going to wait. We're just going to sit back and chill.
Child, yeah.
Is that what we have?
And again, we talk about, but we talk about this all the time, y'all, about the fact that Republicans have really great, unfortunately, let me preface that by saying that Republicans have really great messaging. They have really great tools. They have really great, strategy to disenfranchise and to continue to ensure that people who they don't want to vote don't vote. They create great communication plans. They sit down together in rooms, brick and mortar. They have these conversations. They do Zoom calls. They strategize. And I think that we really need to. Absolutely right. We need to get hip to that. I think another thing is, and this is the great time to do it, and this is why, and Zach and I have talked about this a little bit offline, and I think it's just very genius. The concept that right now we're in a second wave of people who are craving content, right? You have you have COVID that happened where people were in the house, had nothing else to do but to binge watch TV, Netflix shows, cable news, whatever it is, based on your generation, you were doing something specific. And now we're in a different space where we have a writer's strike where there's no TV coming out. There's no new content in terms of, streaming movies and things like that. So people are craving content and they're flocking to social media to get that content. If you're going to be somebody who is a Zoom politicon, you're going to be somebody who's consuming political content, and you go in there and you trust Too Raw, Too Real, and you trust Mentally Divine, and you trust Zachary Kirk, you're gonna crave that content and you're gonna watch it. And I think that right now we're in a prime time space where this new electoral process is coming up. This cycle is coming up, and we literally had to have started yesterday. We can't be with the we gonna do it last minute and people gonna pay attention. People are paying attention right now, and they have no other choice but to, because literally, again, you have these high profile ass people getting mugshots. You know what I'm saying? That are tied to political.
And just like this right here from Janice Pettijohn, like this is right. We're not only fighting against like these Republicans, we're fighting against progressives.
Yes.
Like we're fighting against
we're getting jumped.
Listen, but you know what? Right, say it. Why are we fighting against them, Brian? What they got?
These are not progressives. These are paid people who are coming on. And people don't understand how.
Say it again. Say it.
People don't understand how the system works on the back end. People are paid to sow division and have misinformation. It's the reason why you have people behind stock images of black people on social media talking about they ADOS and they FBA and they this and that, and they not. They white people. They put these automated accounts and they're pumping out this misinformation based on what you post. That's how this shit works on the back end. For the people that don't know, okay, we in the fucking trenches. We understand how this shit works. Okay, so what we needed to do is what we saying is we need to be on the other side, putting out our information and backing it in the same way, because we need to have. It's the same reason we say every single year. You have the CPAC, you have the conservative PAC that happens every year, and you have these speakers that come out and they do conferences and stuff. Where's the Democratic opposition to that?
Where is it? That's what I'm saying. Where is it? It should be here. We should have just as strong of strategic organization in this country as these. Did you not see the debate? They're not smart. These people aren't smart. They're not smart people. But yet and still, they have strategic organizing across the country, and they funnel this money and they make big money. Charlie Kirk is a millionaire because of CPAC. And here we are pulling pillar to post, pulling our stuff together because the Democrats haven't done the funding. And here's the thing. There's more money being given to the Democratic Party than to the Republican Party. We out-fundraise them continuously. But that money is going to the big organizations, the DNC, the DCC. It's not going to the grassroots CPAC. People aren't giving whatever our version of that would be. And then the DNC is sitting here holding the money. Kenny, you're saying they're going to hold it in their piggy bank? So Jamie Harrison is sitting up there going, I'm just going to hold on to it. You know how I feel about Jamie Harrison.
I know how you feel about Jamie.
And I gotta calm down because I'm getting, people look, I am a Scorpio with a lot of.
I'm just telling you based off of what, and I understand where everybody is saying, and I think that yes, we can start early. I understand that starting early is a great thing, but unfortunately, and I'm just gonna be honest here with you guys, people have very short attention spans. A lot of people aren't paying attention, which is the very reason why they're being susceptible to the misinformation. Nobody's paying attention to any of this shit. They just believe the very first thing that they see. Yes, the messaging is there. Yes, we have the platform. Yes, we have things. Do you know what's crazy? I actually have information that shows that the White House actually sends all their information, everything that's happening, everything that's going on, to every Black blog you could think of, The Shade Room, Hollywood Unlocked, Neighborhood Talk. They're sending it to literally Uncut. They're sending it to what the fuck is the other one? On Site. They're sending it to all these places, and they throwing all that information in the damn trash. All of it. So when JJ came
How
out,
many times you had to send somebody a brief or report information?
they send it
and
regardless.
never, like before you realize this is a failed strategy. That's my problem. Is that they've taken they're wasting too much time.
They waste a lot of energy. Yes.
In regards to messaging, President Biden is working. There are people in this administration who are busting their ass, making phenomenal movements for the American people in a rapid way. But this one chunk of this system is a failure.
Yes, absolutely. I don't disagree with you there.
But let me say, go ahead.
Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Well, what I want to say is it's more than just messaging at a time where no one is paying attention. For me, I'm talking about I'm thinking about the data that I have seen as we talk about Texas, right? As a case study, as a microcosm example, when we see that over the years, we're talking about decades. You want to talk about progress? Republicans are masters at understanding incremental change and culture shift and paradigm shift in small ways. They may not get the 2, 5, 7, 10% the next night or the next electoral process, but they may get 1% here and 0.5% here, and they spend advertising dollars and spend money on content on these specific places. That's why you see people who are called Tejanos, right? Who may be of Mexican descent, who may be of Latino descent that live in Texas, but they vote and are conservative and are Republican. There is data to show, and there is research to show and back that up, that there has been more dollars, energy, investment, time, and effort that has happened over decades of time to get to a point where this messaging has created a difference in opinion and culture and the ways that they see things and how things have been framed. And what I'm saying is, it's not necessarily that we're talking about just messaging, okay, well, 3 months out of or 4 months, or maybe closer to the election time. I'm saying, if you really want to fight for the progress and the culture shift that we really want, we need to be doing this all the time. And that may be on an election cycle, and it may not be, but it needs to be happening. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I'm coming from it. And I think it's a bigger conversation than just what the Biden administration needs to do. I think this spans any Democrat. Like, if you are an institution and a party understanding how we function in a bifurcated political party system, because yes, there are multiple, but we're talking about 2 because that's what the fuck it is, that we have to be very honest about how we actually get to those ends. My question is, do we have the proper strategic consultants to have those conversations and to move the needle in that way? And I don't think that the current people are seeing that in that way.
But we also need the infrastructure. And by infrastructure, we need a platform. We do not have a true social. We don't have anything. Even when it comes to MSNBC, interesting enough, when Biden went to Maui, when he recently just went to Maui to see the devastation, guess who actually covered it? CNN, not MSNBC. Not one minute was ever aired on MSNBC as he was there for the devastation.
And I can agree with you. And what I'm saying is, if we want to change that, it's going to take time.
It's going to take a hell of an investment. We have to literally, but who is going to, where are we going to get this particular platform? Even when it comes to TikTok, YouTube, right now, just because we're speaking positively of the Biden-Harris administration or anything democratically, we're being oppressed at this very moment because of the way they set up their algorithms. So TikTok, every video y'all post, where have they gone?
I don't believe in somebody giving me a platform. That's why 3+1 Media exists, because I'm Black, I'm LGBTQIA+, anybody don't give me shit. It's not going to happen. I'm not Tim Scott. I'm not sitting here saying, I'm going to play your game because I'm going to drive out of poverty and I'm going to make my way in the world because you're going to help me up. I'm not saying that. I don't think that's the way it works. That is why I do what I do. That is why I'm having a whole freaking Pride event, because it's too commercial. And there are Black gay artists in the city of Atlanta who deserve to be recognized for their talent and their accomplishments. And there are major promoters who have big events. They're going to bring in Saucy Santana, and they're going to bring in big names so they can make big money. I'm providing an event where I'm bringing on independent artists who you should know, who have talent, because that is the power of promoting a platform. We create our own. We make our own. 3+1 Media is meant to do that shit. In the same way that you have the Shade Room with misinformation, they exist on Instagram. 3+1 Media, also Instagram. What they have is funding from conservatives and Republicans who pump money into them, who buy the ads, and that's what funds them. So they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. Although thankfully we finally see JJ Williams with the takedown of this organization. But this is the thing. JJ did amazing journalism, and JJ should be compensated for the work that he's done. But you know what? How many of us have even donated to JJ? I'm going to donate to JJ, but the reality is, he's done something that we've all complained about, that we've all wanted to see done. He finally put a huge blow onto the shade room. He should be compensated for it. I don't believe there. I'm gonna take a gander and make it an allegation, allegedly, in my Carlos King voice, and I don't like Carlos King either. Allegedly. I allegedly believe that there is not one single national Democrat who said and reached out to this man in any way to see how can I harness his power, how can I harness his youth, how can I harness his influence to be of service to the American people. And there is no way I would let a JJ Williams be blowing up this week and not have brought him onto my team as an employee.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I would say that because I tweeted at him, and I don't think because his shit was blowing up. So that I tweeted at him and I said, he is the future. I told y'all this in private. I said it in public because I believe in private and public recognition. Here's what I will say though, too. I think that I think time will come. And I say that because we know that Chris Mowry is
started from nothing at the White House.
Chris Mowry is making some good money. I'm putting it out there. I'm just saying.
I don't think he's making any money. Actually, he's not getting paid.
Ryan,
I can guarantee
Chris is my little mentee.
He's not getting paid
any money.
I'm telling you, he getting paid.
He might be getting paid from the people who subscribe to him under his podcast.
No, I'm talking about vocal. I'm talking about third party.
No, he's not.
As far as third party,
I am trying to tell you, y'all have not seen his content recently on TikTok.
I've seen his content.
No, I follow him. I look at his content.
I'm telling you, he does not get paid at all. So he's trying to promote something independent.
Somebody recently reached out to me about a Gen Z influencer, and I recommended Chris, and they didn't even know who he was.
What I'm trying to say is he may not be getting paid through the specific systems that we want him to get paid, but what I'm saying is the money is coming.
I'm saying. Absolutely. I believe that he's going to make a lot.
But it should be there. This man has 300,000 followers. He should be getting compensated. But here's the thing. This is another thing that people don't realize. He has 300,000 followers, but just like Michael, who's on the chat right now, he's hurt his brand by being political. So brands who would sponsor him, I'm a blonde, blue-eyed white man. I can't get sponsorships and be like, what's that guy? Who is a famous? I don't know him. Anyway, it's a whole bunch of those influencers make like millions of dollars.
Talking about like the beauty brands.
He's supposed to be political. He's not going to get the opportunities he would have gotten. And the same thing goes for Micah and every other Gen Z creator and for JJ. When you choose that, you're choosing to be less viable as a brand influencer, and it's not fair. But because that's the way the world works, the political system should balance that out. These young people should be able to use their content and receive compensation.
Yeah, we're in a different age. I mean,
we really are, because even with that, like I can tell you, he ain't getting paid nothing. Look, a lot of us who's doing this and passionate about it ain't getting compensated. The whole fact of the matter is you'll have a Chris Mowry, you'll have a Micah, you'll have me, you'll have a Brian, you'll have Zach, you'll have literally all of us literally donating most of our time battling misinformation and actually promoting all the things that's going on in the Biden-Harris administration in real time. But this ain't our bread and butter. And that's the problem.
It's not how we eat. No, it's not how we eat.
If I was eating off of this, y'all would see me every fucking day. I would be, strong woman, ice cream, yes. I would be on here doing all that shit for Biden. But y'all ain't paying me. So I'm late to the party. I'm tardy for the party. I'm Kim Zolciak.
It's actually costing money to do this work. Like, it costs money to be a content creator. Like, I'm spending more money creating content than I am making content. And I know that, people know that. So again, I think that's a piece of it. Back to other, we, as we get ready to kind of wind down, other things that the Democrats can learn from tonight's debate to carry forward to be impressive. We'll definitely say number one, improve your messaging, be ready with the counterattacks, leverage influencers to do that work for you. What else?
I'm gonna give whoever's running, and I think it's the girl from New Jersey. I forget her name, but I think she actually graduated from Rutgers. Shout out my alma mater. The person who's running the Joe Biden's Twitter account has actually been on it tonight.
Literally, no games.
Yeah, literally live tweeting tonight and saying, like climate change is real, by the way, right? Being able to kind of make some little comments here and there and consistently using that platform. I mean, that platform, that account has millions of followers anyway, right? And so the way that right now things are going in terms of the engagement and people are on there, people were paying attention tonight, and they were paying attention to pundits like Simone Sanders on MSNBC. They were paying attention to Jen Psaki, her account. They were paying attention to Joe Biden's account. And you can see that from the sheer engagement. So I think that messaging needs to continue from more specific, trusted names. And I think that's happening tonight. So I'm going to give credit where the credit is due. There also has been a decline in their conservative identification system. Oh, they're going at it in the comments.
That's good.
I know that they've got a lot of great clips that they can make into an ad. I've already started seeing them snipping the clips they need.
Yes.
But as far as I know, I got a lot of shit I'm about to eat up thanks to a lot of the shit that they said, because I've got a lot of things to debunk and use, especially as far as the Ukrainian spending, because that was a big one that we didn't even talk about. But we didn't
talk about what?
We didn't talk about Ukraine. We didn't talk about the mere fact that it's interesting enough that lately, when it comes to being pushed through the algorithm, Republicans have been running with this talking point that, hey, Joe Biden is giving all this money to Ukraine, but doesn't want to invest in Americans, when yet all those people who are literally sitting on the debate stage literally voted. And it's funny, they talked about gas prices being so high. And what about gas? And we're going to figure out a way of lowering the price of gas, but they literally voted against lowering the price of gas. And it was literally last year. So
they need to say that forefront and center.
But nobody's going to address that. That's not going to get addressed because it's on Fox News. And this panders and pays into the Fox News audience and what they want America to believe, because they have an agenda. I don't want to see any I don't want to see any 2024 debate with President Biden on Fox News. The Democrats take a hard stance and say we are not going to participate in any Fox News debates, because Fox News has no even attempt to be in any way credible news journalism with the lies they allow.
Child, it is what it is. They're going to continue to do what they do. And I mean, doesn't Fox News have a larger, how much was what was the viewership of this
tonight?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be highly viewed. I mean, we viewed it, right? So we would have possibly been watching, Lawrence O'Donnell, on MSNBC in the background. We instead were watching, this debate. But right now, MSNBC is beating Fox News in key demographic areas right now. But again, that's always, because again, Democratic viewers are more fickle. They're not as loyal.
Absolutely. I think as we wind down too, I think one of the other things that the Ukraine conversation was a good one. I think the other thing is to talk about the abortion conversation, because that one was a little more robust. I don't understand, and Republicans do use this talking point all the time, and it is never really dug into, excavated, or knocked down in the way that I really wanted to, where they just deflect and they say that Democrats in states like New York and California want people to have abortion up until the date of birth.
Nobody's doing that.
And I don't understand why nobody really attacks that, because that's so easy to discredit, right? Like,
why would they attack it? They want their people to believe that Democrats want to go in there and rip out live children and crush them. That's what they want America to believe.
Our side, like I'm talking about.
No, we do. We just don't get. We don't get the clicks or views for it.
On stage.
But here's the thing about that. So he said that his friend Penny, and I want to know who this lady is. Remember, she survived, being one of those children that was literally a late term abortion and somehow survived and was taken to the hospital by the grandmother. I want to see who the fuck this Penny person is. Penny Brown, who the fuck is
pan to pan? They said they threw Penny from pan to pan.
So,
exactly. Yeah, I didn't understand that. Yeah, Ron DeSantis made up, and then that other one with Tracy. Oh, and then just the other thing, like you have like Fox News consistently posting like sowing division on how President Biden has actually addressed the wildfires in Maui, right? Like they would literally put people like him walking through the streets with the governor, with some and talking to the families there, and they sow division on that. Like again, I was watching Laura Ingraham prior to the fucking debates. I was like, what the fuck are they talking about?
They're lying. It's pretty much what they're doing. But you know what? That was a good win for Joe Biden, especially in this, because everybody honestly on that stage could have took a hit and tried to lie on Joe Biden's efforts, but they really didn't go with it. So we won that part. I noticed I was kind of getting nervous. I'm like, how are they going to try to spin this Maui situation, especially when it comes to Joe Biden's response? And I have to correct myself and fact check myself. In a video that I did, pretty much breaking down the Maui situation, I said that he responded in 6 hours. It was actually 63 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. So that's all we got to say about it.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a great place. I would just think I'm thinking like, what more can Democrats do that I haven't said already in the invective that I gave earlier? And I would have to say that, I think they have their work cut out for them to be really geared up, and they can't take anything for granted. Democrats cannot take for granted that minority voters in this country are going to vote for them because they're the party that represents their best interests. We can't assume that the voter is as informed as we would want them to be. Kenny, you were sounding the alarms in group chats about the Maui misinformation. And I was kind of like, this ain't worth my time. Like, I'm not going to make no kind of.
I saw it coming.
You were sounding the alarm. You were on top of it. And you're like, this is a real issue. When I started to see all the Black people that really thought that all President Biden and the American government was going to do is give $700 checks, and that was it, while giving billions to Ukraine, I was floored. I would never imagine that people did not understand how disaster relief in America worked, because we've seen so many natural disasters, but clearly the majority of Americans didn't seem to understand the process. And so that is something that I was taking for granted, and now I won't do it again. But the same thing goes for our Democrats, leaders. They have to understand that the American people need a lot of information. They need a lot of education around how government works and how it should work, and not only on how it works but also on not how it should work, but why it works that way. A lot of people who are not informed don't understand why you have FEMA, why we go through the states, why there's a state response as opposed to a national response to federal emergencies and disasters. We have to educate people on this is how it is, and this is why it is that way, because it's the better way. Just because every time you're going to have a Lauren Boebert pop out of her, underground bunker and her guns and her, whoever she's now sleeping with, to misalign the work of our leadership, and we've got to be prepared for that. So I would think that's what I would say is the next steps.
I feel like, and to everybody's point, especially to the way that y'all prosecuted the case, because I don't disagree with you. I think there should be an early on investment in people. I honestly feel like there should be more videos made about when it comes to messaging. It's not necessarily Democratic messaging, because when we say messaging, it's saying like Democrats aren't running on anything. We have to be very careful about the words that we use. It's who is the messenger? Who is the spokesperson that we can actually go to for this information? I think that's what needs to happen, because when it talks about messaging, I get the information. I see the messaging. For the most part, most Democrats agree on certain issues. It's just, who can we go to? Who do we uplift? Who can we invest in that's going to actually be able to give this message that people can actually understand and digest? So I'm starting to believe that when it comes to that, it needs to be invested from content creators, everyday Americans who actually have to deal with this on a daily basis, that any of these policies would actually affect them in real time and in real life.
This is what I'm saying is we got to educate, we got to tolerate, we got to motivate, and baby, we got to celebrate.
Child, sounds like a book that never came out yet.
That sounds like a book. That sounds like a book that coming out soon.
Say it again, Brian. I'll be damned. fucking book is coming. The book is coming. The book has been written except one chapter. And there's a series of interview questions that's also lacking because there were some people who said, I'm not doing no more damn work. But the book is coming. And the book is coming. I am literally out here trying to raise all the funds I can so I can invest those funds in these very important projects. Kevin's brought up some great points. I just cannot, this is so important. Literally, there are portions of Puerto Rico that are still in disarray from Hurricane Maria, which happened during the Trump administration, and it's all yet been forgotten about. Make no mistake, I'm afraid that if President Biden is not re-elected as president, there will be portions of Maui that will also be forgotten in 7 years. There's a lot at stake in this election, and there's a lot of work that has to be done from a whole lot of communities to push forward and ensure that America continues to improve. There's a lot of work to be done. A lot of work. So, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who joined in. Get some rest. It's what, 1 o'clock? It's gonna be 1 o'clock soon. You guys are getting ready to go to bed. You're gonna have what's going on over there. Kenny, you got your head wrapped.
Look,
Brian,
I'm ready to go ahead and lay it down, but I have one question for y'all. As far as the messaging goes, how would you feel the sell on the messaging goes? Should it be a message of hope in what's been done or a message of fear? I think hope and celebration is the best way of going.
Fear never works for Democrats. Fear will never motivate Democrats to go to the poll. Fear only works for Republicans who are mired in hatred anyway. Fear and hate goes hand in hand, like love and hope go hand in hand, okay? So President Biden is going to have to mobilize Democrats and Democrat-leaning voters like minorities and young people to come out and vote. And Republicans know that. This country has never been so polarized. The Democrats are Democrats, Republicans are Republicans. There are not a lot of people in the middle ground. It's about who is going to get their people to get out and vote. And it's a lot harder to get people to get out and vote for an incumbent than it is for a challenger. And so the burden of work is going to be on President Biden and his re-election team. That's where the burden is going to lie.
Absolutely. It's always going to be hope and actual policies, right? Like that's and the other thing is that Democrats are more scrutinizing than Republican voters, right? Republican voters are cool with if you do racism, just go a little harder on the same, but stay with racism. Like they don't want you to veer off. That's why they're conservative, right? They don't want too much change in their messaging. They want what works. They want to keep doing that, and that's it. Democrats are like so specific on how you have progressives that's quote unquote progressives that want change all overnight. You want people who are incrementalists and more pragmatists. You have people who are all around the fucking array of people, and nothing is ever enough, right? So I think that is the thing. You have to be, if you walk into the space competent and confident, you're moving in the right direction. That's what we have to. So we need people who are going to celebrate what we're doing, say why we need to continue on that track, but be hopeful that there is a better future on the horizon for tomorrow.
And we do need to explain why these agencies exist and what they do and the essential value they provide to the American people. That's a great idea. That's a great assignment for all of us here, is to create some information around why do we need a Department of Education? Like, what's the purpose of it? Because clearly the fact that Republicans want to dismantle it and their base supports it, it's a concern.
Well, you know why? Because we just canceled 804,000 people's student loan debt just over the last few days. That's why they want to dismantle it.
That's what I'm saying. And we need to highlight that's a good point, because I was going to say that we need to highlight the fact that we've actually canceled student loan. So promises kept, promises made, promises kept. We need to have a fucking division. What were the promises that were made when he was running for office? What has he actually accomplished, right? And then we can talk about that from the record. And I know Kenny, you already have that shit. You fucking breathe.
I gotta go back and redo a few things, child.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we need to do. And then we need to also talk about things that we went on, saving Medicare and Medicaid. You literally have Chris Christie on this debate stage tonight say that the way that he took money, like was able to save money for the taxpayers, was cutting pensions. Did y'all hear that? When he talked about that, he literally said that on the debate stage, and I'm like, is anybody going to take him to task on that?
Nobody cares.
Needs to be brought up. But like, go back for a moment. So here's again, right? Like, I know I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but Kenny, you say it's not messaging, and I have to say bullshit. I have to say bullshit. It is messaging. That is someone's job. You know how many people I've seen post about the fact that one, the courts ruled in favor of President Biden's loan forgiveness in the end, and that loans were immediately forgiven, like they took action right away. I saw one post, and that post was from Mentally Divine. I didn't see anybody else talking about it. There were hundreds of Black people all over social media crying and complaining about Biden's failure with student loans. Nina Turner tweeted about it 16 times a day, okay? But now that the loans are being forgiven, I'm seeing no talk of it and no recognition of it, no celebration of the accomplishment. The majority of people, unless your loans were forgiven, they don't even know that this happened. That's
what's funny about this. You know, the very people who complain about student loan debt, because the whole thing is, I know about it because it's all the posts are there. That's what's crazy. But the people who will say, "Oh, I don't know what they're doing," but it's interesting enough that you follow the president, you follow the vice president. They have millions of followers, but millions of these followers apparently don't know that they posted this. As far as the messaging goes, they're messaging.
I saw one post from Brian. Kenny, I saw no other posts. I saw no news outlet cover it. I saw
no news outlet is going to cover.
No other post about it. I saw more posts about the Kenya Moore interview with Carlos King than I saw about this action. I saw one post.
As far as the messaging goes, when we're talking about messaging, what's coming out of their mouths, they're putting the information out there. The problem is they're just not paying blogs to post about it.
They're not putting it out in a way that is being received by the American people. So therefore, it's not happening. A tree falls in the forest, did the tree fall? Yeah, it fell, but don't no motherfucking body know it ain't there no more.
That's what I'm saying. And I think the bigger point is it systematized? Because Republican messaging is systematized. It's
open the piggy bank.
Yeah.
They're going to have to start paying people to actually post about it. That's the only thing I can say. But as far as the messaging goes, we have a message. Because when we're talking about messaging, we're talking about what's actually being said about Democrats. What are they actually putting out? What are they actually promoting? Because it says that we don't have a clear direction on where we want to go in America. We know where we want to go in America. But I was talking about as far as who's actually posting it, who's actually doing that. No, nobody's going to post about those things. It's not going to get no traction.
I have 6 fundraising messages in my inbox from 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock. 6.
And then nothing about student loan, I'm guessing.
Darn it, my camera came out unplugged because I'm sitting here tapping the damn table. And now my camera came off.
Well, and so while Zach gets his thing together, yeah, I mean, there he is. He's
y'all gotta be specific when it comes to messaging. There's 2 definitions of a message.
Hey, that's the wrong camera. There you go.
Promotion is what y'all are talking about. They're not promoting the message. They're not putting any money and dollar signs behind that message.
Right.
Because when y'all say they don't have a message, I'm thinking like, when most people think when you say that Democrats don't have a message, they mean they don't have a platform. They have nothing to run off of. They need promotion is what y'all mean.
That's a platform. Kenny, that's a platform. I'm not talking about a platform. I think you hit the nail on the head. There you go. What you're saying in terms of Democrats having these briefings and that stuff to me.
They have the message. They just don't have.
That's a message in a platform. Messaging is how you get your platform across to the people. I'm not saying messaging a noun, okay? A message is a noun. I'm saying messaging the verb, the work, the actual getting it to the people, the action. That's where they fucking up.
I guess so.
But here's the thing. What I'm saying is also that I think that you're absolutely right, Kenny. That they do have.
Y'all don't let me curse 5 times. I gotta delete the whole damn live now because bad words come out of my mouth.
You bleep it after. It's not gonna bleep because you have it. But listen, the point is, I think Kenny, you're right. I think we're saying the same thing. What we're saying is that the message does exist. We have what we want to say, but then this is the ways in which we get the message to people. And I think that there are various modalities of doing that. You have peer-to-peer, right? So you have people in the same generation communicating in ways that people can understand. And you also have, the specific time, energy, and effort that it takes to actually get into the communities, mobilize.
There we
go. And so that's what I'm saying. So I think we're saying the same thing. I think for me, that's what it is. It's systemic. I think Republicans do a better job at systematizing the way that
putting it out
happens, but Democrats need to do a better job at that. And again, I think that's a very fair critique, because at the end of the day, we over here talking about, we know who we're gonna vote for, we know what where we stand on the issues and how we want to move. I think that though there could be a more rigorous, backing and support and promotion, to your point, on how this happens. To be honest, and I think that's fair.
That's fair. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I agree. Kenny, are you coming to Atlanta?
Child, I'll
have an agenda for you tomorrow of how we'll celebrate the weekend. I'm just saying.
I feel like we'll be stuck in the damn studio.
I'm gonna give you the agenda, restaurants and things that we're going to do to celebrate your birthday. I'm going to give you the breakdown with some options, because again, it's a massive weekend in Atlanta, but I'm going to give you guys some options. So
we'll see. I'll let you know by Friday. 2 days.
The thing about Kenny just don't want to. Kenny don't want to go into the studio because Kenny feel like that's work.
But we don't have to go. We don't have to go into the studio.
No, I don't mind going and doing work. Work is fun when we're actually being productive. And if we're going to be productive, we're always productive.
Yeah, we need to. No, that's what I'm saying. So Zach,
I just don't know how long that damn studio session is going to be.
So Zach, no, and it's not going to be. So look, Zach, we heard it here first. He's open to going to the studio, and we got to make it in a way. But obviously, you know what? It's going to be truncated time anyway, because studio time costs money.
Yeah, the studio costs money, but also
so we got to be on it.
But also, I mean, again, that's good. I have a big event. Like, these events are not like no work. It's like work.
Yeah.
It's like real work. It's a lot of work. I'm getting ready to guess what I'm going to do. Because I work in the day and I'm going to get to work because I have to write emails to parts of the team.
Yeah, Zach, tell the people, plug the damn event. The event will be on.
Oh yeah, the event. What do you mean?
The event will be on what that fucking camera. The event will be on what date?
It's going to be on Saturday, September the 2nd. It's a Atlanta Black Pride Showcase. It's going to be a great event.
Yeah.
All right, let's make it happen.
It's going to be a great event. It's a lot has, and it might, it's open bar. It's a lot of people who want to say, you should have done X, Y, and Z, but I didn't cut corners because I'm not a corner cutter. On this page is a little advertisement for it. Lots of advertisements on my IG. I am bracing for a lower than expected turnout, because in Atlanta, there are 8 different big events happening. 8 events all at the same time, all on the same night, from big names. But even though this may be a lower turn than I expect, and I have to really have a large crowd to make a profit. I have to have a lot of people even break even. Even with that being said, I'm proud of the investment in the community. Pride should not be commercialized. It should not be, I am going to pay all this money for this big named entertainer to let people just party. I'm proud of giving young, upcoming artists, upcoming designers, people that want to be models, opportunities. I went out, we were paying for a model coach who books shows with all over the city. She was able, she saw the models who auditioned for the show in the model call. And she was like, oh my God, I can use you in this and this and this and this. People can literally walk away with real opportunities to further their passion in modeling from this opportunity. The DJ for the event is DJ Rochelle. Boys, DJ Ro. She owns one of the largest LGBTQ radio stations in the country. She's the DJ by design, because I want her to hear these people's music. These are independent artists. I want her to hear the music. I want to hear how good these artists are. And I want her to give them opportunity. Put them on your radio station. When she is the official DJ for one of the Yin Yang Twins. She just did an event, like a big hip hop celebration with like Young Scrappy or Little Scrappy, whatever his name is. All these people. These are now artists who are a part of our same community. You need to give them an opportunity to shine in a bigger format. We need more than just Saucy Santana out there on the stage representing the community. And I will be proud if one of these artists becomes the next big name in hip hop, or big name in R&B, or big name in alternative soul, because those are the three genres represented. So I'll be okay with the loss if I lose. But again, you never know, I may win.
I don't think there's going to be a loss.
We will see. Buy a ticket. We'll see. Buy tickets, people. We'll see what happens. All right, now, gentlemen, see y'all. Talk to y'all soon.
Good night. See y'all later.
Night.